and Italian architect Alessandro Gheradesca decided to do something about it.
Alessandro Gheradesca said, wouldn't it be a wonderful idea to dig out around the foundation so everyone can look in and see these lovely columns going down to the base of the tower. So he went in there and dug out this walkway around the base of the tower that's called the Catino.
Unknown to Gheradesca, there was a water table within yards of the surface. No sooner had he dug down than water came gushing in. Suddenly, the tower that had stood serenely and safely for 5 centuries lost its balance. It lunged over a foot.
And how it didn't fall over, we really don't know. It was another miracle that it didn't.
The tower had survived the first modern attempt to improve it, and for 70 years, no further attempts to help it were made. Then in 1902, in Venice's St. Marco Square, a bell tower came crashing down. It had stood for more than 1,000 years. But on the morning of July 14th, a huge crack snaked up the tower, and the whole structure collapsed into an 18,000-ton pile of dust and rubble.
It took some 2 days that collapsed, so there was no people killed by that, but it was impossible to stop that collapse.
Scared by the disaster in Venice, the Italian government formed a committee to study Pisa's tower. Experts reviewed the leaning tower's condition, but nothing was done to stabilize it. That is until 1933, when fascist dictator Benito Mussolini turned his attention to the tower. Mussolini was obsessed with returning Italy to the glory it hadn't known for several centuries. It was unthinkable that Italy's national symbol should be a tilting tower. He had made the trains run on time. How difficult could it be to straighten the tower?
And the idea was to try and inject cement into the foundation masonry, not into the ground, but into the masonry. And the reason being that water was seeping up through Gheradesca's Catino, up through the masonry and washing out the mortar.
Mussolini's engineers thought that excess water under the tower was weakening the foundation. They decided to seal the base of the tower with concrete to prevent water from seeping in from below. Workers drilled over 361 holes into the tower's foundations. Then, they pumped in over 80 tons of cement. Once again, the tower's delicate balance was shattered, and it lurched southward nearly 3.5 inches. Now the tower was in real danger, but there was no time to fix it. World War II had started.
American soldiers were hitting the back door of Hitler's fortress. This was Italy.
Bombs were raining down on Italy, reducing large sections to rubble. In 1944, the Allies entered Pisa, hoping to control the Arno River, which ran through the city on its way to the Mediterranean Sea. The Allied troops found themselves under attack by artillery fire from above. But where could it be coming from?
The Germans, as they were retreating, demolished all the bell towers because they could be observation posts. So the bell towers of important churches were demolished. Obviously, the most important of the bell towers was this one, and it has not been demolished.
The Allies suspected the Germans were firing from the Leaning Tower of Pisa. U.S. Sergeant Leon Weckstein, a scout with the 91st Infantry Division, received his orders in July 1944. He was to stake out what soldiers called the Tilton Hilton, and if he detected any enemy action, blow it to smithereens. Weckstein would recall his mission 50 years later in his memoir, Through My Eyes.
I was sent out to get as close as I could to the tower, and if I saw any action up there at all, I was to direct all these weapons against the tower to get it out of the way. In those days, we were very gung-ho. If it meant the life of one of our men, we would have destroyed the tower very easily.
Weckstein watched for hours. Nothing seemed to move inside the tower. He thought about blasting it to pieces anyway, just in case.
On a basis of suspicion, I might have just said, go ahead, fire, you know. But there might have been an ounce of sentiment in seeing this beautiful tower and what it was. And